Good afternoon, guys. All right, so this is the homework video for Chapter 2, Lesson 2, Divide by One-Digit Divisor. This is in your Math Big Book, pages 65 through 68. Your I can statement, this is what you're going to be able to do at the end of this lesson, is you're going to be able to divide by a 3- and 4-digit dividend by one-digit divisors and check your quotient, check your answer. All right. So please make sure that you pause this and you're able to write down as the lesson title as well as your I can statement, because it's very essential that you know what you're going to be able to do at the end of this lesson. All right, so we start with vocabulary. Again, it's vocabulary that we did from yesterday. I just want to reiterate it. The new one that we have here is the inverse. So I'm going to go ahead. This one is one that you want to include in your vocabulary terms. You don't have to include the other ones unless you like to write it down multiple times, which is helpful because then the more you write things down, sometimes it catches on in your mind. But like I showed the examples, your dividend is the number being divided. Your divisor is the one that's dividing your dividend, and then your quotient is your answer. And those are the exact same examples that I provided from yesterday. Which I have 224 divided by 2, which equals the quotient of 112. Now, inverse operations. Inverse operation is basically where, so we have the operations of adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing. So the inverse operations are adding and subtracting. Those are the inverse of each other. And then multiplying and dividing. Those are the inverse of each other. And basically, these operations can undo each other, or they can cancel each other out. So, for example, I gave you here an example of a division problem. So I have the exact same division problem. Oh, let's use a pen instead. The exact same division problem right here. Now you see that basically you do the opposite of each other. So here, then it might change. I place my quotient here, then my dividend in the same place, and then I got my dividend here in my product. So you can see that they're the inverse of each other. And it's really helpful to know the inverse operations, because when you check your work, and that's very important, check your work in either multiplication or in long division, which is what we're working on today. Awesome. So here's the video again. We watched it yesterday. You don't have to watch this part. You can go ahead and skip to about 6 minutes. I'm just going to press play to help remember students how do you create long division.
Your Grace, we have the prisoner.
Bring him forth.
He's accused of holding classes in the forest, Your Grace. He's been teaching the peasants.
Teaching them? Teaching them what?
I'm teaching them math, Your Grace, long division.
Teaching them black magic and sorcery?
No, Your Grace, it's
Long division? Throw him in the pit of doom.
You do know what long division is, right, Your Grace?
Of course I know. I'm the king. But explain it to me anyway.
I'll go warm up the pit, Your Grace.
Let's divide 745 by 6. First, we set it up like this. Then follow the steps for one digit now. Divide, multiply, subtract, and bring it down. I divide 6 into 7 first, and I know 6 fits inside 7 one time. So I write 1 up top and keep it in line with the 7. Since that's the one I divided, then I multiply 6 times 1, that's 6. I write it down below here, son.
You call me son?
The next part is fun. I subtract 7 minus 6 and I get 1. The party's not over now. I need to bring the next digit down. I bring the 4 down beside. I see 14. And now's the time to repeat these steps again, my king. You get it?
I think I'm following.
6 into 14 is 2 times, then 2 times 6 is 12. Oh my, 14 minus 12 is 2. So we write it and bring down the 5.
I'm getting excited.
6 into 25 goes 4 times. 4 times 6 is 24, no lie. When we subtract, we have 1 left over.
Throw it in the pit of doom.
No, it's called the remainder. We write it like this on the paper. Divide, multiply, subtract, and bring it down. Divide, multiply, subtract, and bring it down. That's how we do long division now. Divide, multiply, subtract, and bring it down. Divide, multiply, subtract, and bring it down. Divide, multiply, subtract, and bring it down. That's how we do long division now. Divide, multiply, subtract, and bring it down.
This magical long division spell must be outlawed.
Nah, it's not magic, it's mathematics. This is just one approach, but it's a classic. Let's check our work and see if it sticks. We think 745 divided by 6 equals 124, remainder 1. I could rewrite that as multiplication. First I multiply in the ones place, then the tens place, then hundreds, okay? Ooh, look at that. What I found, it's 744. But now add the 1, the remainder, 745. That means 100 groups of 6 fit inside, plus 20 groups of 6 are combined, and 4 groups of 6, oh my. Then 1 is left over like this.
Your Grace, we formed up the bid.
And that's long division, and if you like, you can join us in the forest every Friday night. Divide, multiply, subtract, and bring it down. Divide, multiply, subtract, and bring it down. That's how we do long division now. Divide, multiply, subtract, and bring it down. Divide, multiply, subtract, and bring it down. Divide, multiply, subtract, and bring it down. That's how we do long division now. Divide, multiply, subtract, and bring it down.
I have learned a lot about long division, but throw him in the pit of doom anyway.
Awesome. So that's the end of that video. Again, I'm just showing you these posters that we created already in a classroom yesterday, but it's just as a reminder to know how to create, how to do long division, which is really important. So here you can see that we have the quotient, our queen is at the top, our divisor is going to be under the visor, and our dividend is in the den underneath our little house that we have going on here. And you can always remember divide, multiply, subtract, and bring it down as the rhythm, or you could also remember dad, mom, sister, brother, Rex, or Coco. These are all just ways to help you learn and remember long division because it is very difficult. So I'm going to go ahead and move on. I'm going to go ahead and press play to this video that I created. It's basically talking about regrouping. So let me, there we go. All right, to start off, first I want to start off with 24. Now, the reason why we're going to start with this is because I want to show what regrouping looks like. And so we're going to start off here. I'm going to use my mouse. Here I have a 10, which equals 10 ones. And here we have another 10, which is also 10 ones. And so this is in the place value of the tens place, but we can regroup each 10 into ones. And we're going to go ahead and do that. We break up one 10, and then now we have 10 ones plus the additional 4 ones. We group this other group of 10, and now we have 24 ones. And you can kind of see that that's what it looks like when we regroup. Now we're going to do the exact same thing, but this time we're going to do into the hundreds. Now we have 100 here, 5 tens, and 3 ones. Now we're going to go ahead and regroup our 100. And we know that in 100 there are 10 tens. So when we regroup this and move that over here, we now have, if you count up, you can count that we have 15 tens. Because of the 5, that first started off in the tens place, plus those extra 10 that we had that were in the 100. And this is important because in division, my apologies, you're going to see that sometimes we're going to need to regroup in order to divide. Now we're going to do one last one, which is 3,500. I just want to regroup right now these thousands. Now, how many hundreds are in a thousand? good. You should have stated 10. So when we group 1,000, it breaks up that into 10. So now, right now, we have the 5 that started there, plus the additional 10, so we have 1,500. Then we do the same thing again. Another 10, so that's 20 plus the 5 equals 25. And then my last 10, which gives me 3,500. So we are looking at 3,500. Awesome. All right, so, oh, my bad. All right, so that was just to help you understand how regrouping is. It's very important. We do it all the time for subtraction, addition, multiplication, as well as division, and it's just a refresher. So we're going to go ahead and go to page 65, please, in your big book. You are now working in your big book, and we're going to go ahead and look at the unlocked problem, and I'm going to go ahead and read it out loud. Jonah's family is planning a trip to Oceanside, California. They will begin their trip in Scranton, Pennsylvania, and will travel 2,754 miles over 9 days. If the family travels an equal number of miles every day, how far will they travel each day? All right, so like I always love to start with word problems using bucks. All right, so let's go ahead and box the question. Awesome. If the family travels an equal number of miles every day, how far will they travel each day? So the main question is, how far will they travel each day? Now, underline key important facts that tell us how to solve the problem. And we have 9 days as well as 2,754 miles. Then we're going to go ahead and circle words that tell us what kind of operation are we completing. Are we completing a operation in addition, subtraction, multiplication, or division? And the word equal groups lets us know that we are going to be dividing. And another thing I also want to circle is, is days. I don't know if it's going to let me. I'm trying to circle here. There, days or day, because then this lets us know that we are traveling in 1 day, and then how much is traveled in 1 day is miles, because that's our units, and it's important to know our units. Now, K is for knocking out. I'm going to knock out. I know it is important to know where they're traveling, but that's not what we're trying to find out. We just want to know how much they travel in each day. So I'm going to knock out the beginning part. Next, we want to state our strategy and operation. So the strategy we are going to be working is, of course, long division, because we're trying to get good at that. And there are other methods besides long division, which we will learn about later on. And then, obviously, since we're doing each, we're going to be doing some division. And then we're going to solve this using our workbook. And I just like to use bucks because it really helps you break down a word problem. And we know that every test that we usually take has lots of word problems. And our standardized state tests are definitely all word problems. So it's important to be able to break it down. All right, so we are going to be doing 2,754 divided by 9. So our first step here is to estimate. We want to make sure to estimate because estimating lets us know, one, where to place our first digit in the quotient. Do we start in the hundreds? Do we start in the tens? Do we start in the ones? Do we start in the thousands? And it also lets us check our answer at the end. So it's really essential that we estimate. So I have here my number, and I'm going to look at basic facts to help me round my 2,754. Now I'm going to count by my divisor. So I go by 9, 20. No, my bad, I'm skipping ahead. It should be 18. 18, 27, 36. All right, so we're going to go ahead and look at this. Which one is closest to the first two numbers, 27? Awesome. You should see, obviously, it's the third one because it's exactly 27. So then we have 2,700 divided by 9. And this allows us to divide using a basic fact. So how many times is 9 going to 27? And you could even count here. 1, 2, 3. 3 times. So we have 3. Oh, I shouldn't write that there. Squiggle, squiggle, squiggle. 3, and then those extra zeros because we're in the hundreds. We're 2,700. We have 300. Awesome. And then here's what we have in the book. I just didn't want to give you the answer yet, but we have 2,700 divided by 9 gives me the quotient of 300, or an estimate. So we know that we are going to start in the what place value? Hundreds place value, not the thousands. So we need to make sure when we do the standard algorithm that we place our first quotient, or our first number, in the hundreds place. All right, so we're going to go ahead and divide by the hundreds. Now remember, we want to divide, multiply, subtract, and bring it down. So those are the 4 main steps. So let's go ahead and remember, we already stated that we're going to be working in our hundreds. So we're going to look at 27. 9 goes into 27 3 times. And you could show your work over here on the side. 9 times 3 gives me 27. And I place my 27 right here. And I am subtracting 27 from 27. My 3 goes in the hundreds place because we have just discussed about back over there that we need to start in our hundreds. We have 0. Awesome. So we went ahead, we divided, we multiplied, we subtract. Now we need to bring down. So I'm going to go ahead and bring down my 5. And then that's the next step right over here. I should be using green. So we bring down my 5. Okay, and now we're going to divide by the tens. Can 9 go into 5 tens? No, it cannot. So we need to go ahead and state no. So we won't be using anything, and we're going to go ahead and subtract 0, okay, because 9 times 0 is 0. Subtract 0 gives me 5. So we are no longer in the tens place, and we're not going to bring down the next number, which now we're going to be working in our ones. Now we're going to go ahead and bring down the 4, and now we have 54 ones. Okay, now we're going to say, okay, what number 9 times can go into 54 how many times? And you should know that that's a basic multiplication fact, which is 6. 9 times 6 gives me 54. So I go ahead and place my 6 up here. I subtract 54, and I get 0. So I have no remainder. So we state here that our answer is 306. And since 306, let me erase that. Since 306 is close to the estimation, which we stated was 300, we can say that our answer is reasonable. It is reasonable. It's really close. So yes, it is reasonable that our answer is correct. So Jenna's family will travel 306 miles each day. Now, the next step we have to do is we have to check our work. I know it doesn't have a spot for this in your big book, but you can definitely put it on the side somewhere there for you. But we need to check our work, and we have to remember we're going to use the inverse operations, which is what I talked about at the beginning of this lesson. So I'm going to rewrite this problem, which was 2,754. And actually, I want to make sure I use the right colors because sometimes it helps visually see the order. So 2,000. Oh, there it is. 2,754 divided by 9 gives me the answer of 306. All right, so now we got to check our work by doing the inverse. Now we're going to multiply. We're going to multiply our quotient times our divisor, which should give us our dividend. So you can kind of see I'm going to flip it around just like I did up here, over here. So I'm going to do 306 times 9. And you can check your work over here off to the side. I'm going to use a white marker. So we have 306 Ooh, not a good spot to place that. Erase. We have 306 times 9. So we're going to do multiplying using standard algorithm. Or you can do the box method. We have 9 times 6, which gives me 54. Yes. So we place our 4 here and then our 5 up here. I'm going to circle it so I can remember that's what I regrouped up there. 9 times 0 gives me 0 and then plus 5. Then we do 9 times 3 gives me 27. Check! So that shows us that our answer is correct. So yes, the quotient is 306. Super important, check your work. And we just did so here. All right, so a question I have for you is, how do you know that the quotient needs to be 306, not 36? Good, you should have talked about that based off our estimation that we had prior to this. We stated that when we saw that it needed to be 300, close to 300, and that's why it can't be 36. And we added that placeholder 0 up there to make sure that we don't add anything in the wrong place value. Right, so let's go ahead and move on to the next problem. We're on now page 66, and the example up at the top, which is divide, check your answer. So to check your answer, which is what we just did before, you need to check your answer to a division problem, multiply the quotient by the divisor. If there's a remainder, add it to the product, and the result should equal the dividend. So here is the long division problem that we have right here. And I'm going to go ahead and highlight the different parts that we have. So we're going to go ahead and highlight my quotient in green. We will highlight my dividend in orange. And then my divisor in purple. All right, so it's telling you you need to multiply your quotient times your divisor. So this does not include the remainders. So you should not include the remainder. I'm going to erase that and rewrite. So we just want the quotient part. So you're going to do 102 times 6. Let's go ahead and do the work over here to the side. So 2 times 6 gives me 12. Bring over the 1 or regroup it. 6 times 0 gives me 0. And plus 1 gives me 1. 6 times 1 gives me 6. So we have 612. Then you want to add your remainder, which is 2. And it gives me 614. Now you want to make sure that when you check your problem, that you are checking that your dividend, that's not what I want to do. Sorry about the mixed colors, that your answer is your dividend, which it is. So then you have it accurate and complete. All right. Now, since the results of the check is equal to the dividend, the division is correct. So 614 divided by 6 gives me 102 with a remainder of, was it 1 or 2? 2. And that's just towards the bottom of that example one. Now we're going to go ahead and do the try this on page 66, which is right below the example. You're going to find the unknown number by finding the value of n in the related equation. So you are going to want to find your dividend by first solving your multiplication problem, which is here. And we know that we can do that because of the inverse operations. We know our quotient, we know our divisor, and we can multiply those to give me my dividend. So we have 63 times 7. I like this highlighter, it looks good. Wow, really nicely shows the numbers. So I'm going to start using that from now on. We have 7 times 3, which equals 21. We want to regroup our 2 up here. 7 times 6, which equals 42, plus 2 gives me 44. So then your dividend is 401. So your n is 401. Awesome. So we'll do the same thing over here, but this time it has a we want to find out n, which is our remainder. And to do this, you must work completing your inverse operations. So we're going to go ahead and multiply these two together and take that away from here to find our remainder. So, let's see, where can I'll go do it up here. 125 times 6. We get 30. Bring the 3 up here. 6 times 2 is 12. 12 plus 3 is 15. Bring a 1 up here. 6 times 1 is 6. 6 plus 1 is 7. So you have 750. Now you want to take that away, your answer, from 752. So that way you can find out what your remainder is. And we find out that 2 is your remainder. So that's your remainder. Awesome. Cool. So that is the end of my direct instruction. I know it was long. Sorry, I'm still trying to. It was probably long because of the video that I re-showed again. But you're going to go ahead and complete pages 67, all of 67. Do your best to try to do as much as you can. This is just practice to show what you learned through the direct instruction. So page 67, problems 1 through 3, go ahead and pause, complete on your own, and press play to see the answers. There are your answers for 1 through 3. Now you complete on your own, page 67. You're going to do 4 to 7. Go ahead and pause, complete on your own, and then press play to see the answers. Awesome. Now the next thing. Again, this is problems 8 through 5, same page, pause, complete, and press play when you're ready to see the answers. Nice. And the last one, 16 through 18, press pause, complete on your own, and press play to see the answers. All right, nice. That's the end of this one. I'll see you guys tomorrow.